Hi guys, Football-ManagerYouthDevelopment.co.uk here. So recently in the news it was announced that Leighton Baines, the Everton left back, has become the defender with the most assists in the Premier League history. So yeah, it's quite a good achievement for Leighton Baines. Well, I thought it was quite an interesting kind of article that I was reading on the Daily Mail, and it kind of got me thinking, like, how do you actually, kind of get your fullbacks and defenders to sort of get that many assists, basically. So if you have a look at the screenshot that's just in the back now while I'm sort of talking about this, you'll see that there's some other sort of names on there. It looks like Graham Lasseau, obviously used to play for Chelsea. He was on the list. He got 44 assists during his time of playing in the Premier League. And yeah, I mean, that's quite a lot of assists, really. There was some other names on the list as well, like Ashley Cole. I would have thought he maybe would have had a few more than 31, but he is certainly on the list. But yeah, what I thought I'd do in this episode would just give you guys some kind of ideas and just sort of tactics, really, and just things to think about how you can actually get your defenders and fullbacks to kind of get more assists and just sort of help out in the more sort of attacking areas. So what I'll be doing in a minute, I'll be going into Football Manager and just sort of show you some of the kind of different things that you can do in terms of tactics and the way you set your team up and things like that. But yeah, obviously, part of the modern game these days, it is really, really important to kind of get your fullbacks involved as much as possible. We see it obviously with Leighton Baines, sort of Seamus Coleman, Zabaleta, Ivanovic is always getting forward for Chelsea, things like that. So there's lots and lots of real attacking kind of fullbacks that are just getting involved in, kind of modern football, if you like. And it's a real kind of like modern thing to do in football nowadays, is just kind of use your fullbacks, like almost as wingers, basically. So yeah, I thought it'd be kind of a good sort of topic to sort of discuss with you guys and to sort of show you my kind of thoughts and feelings on it. So yeah, I'll just boot up Football Manager for you guys. Okay, so yeah, Football Manager's all booted up now, and I thought a good place to kind of start this kind of tutorial was just having a look at Leighton Baines himself, just so we can have a look at some of the kind of attributes he's got that make him such a good, attacking fullback, basically. So first thing that I really does spring to mind here, is a real key attribute for what we want from Leighton Baines is his crossing ability. So undoubtedly he has got absolutely amazing crossing ability. The kind of balls that he whips in, must be an absolute striker's dream. If you're like Lukaku playing for Everton, you're really going to be, having a field day with just some of the kind of service that he's going to be able to provide you. You've obviously got things like his free kick taking as well, which is really high. So, obviously in real life that Leighton Baines is going to be, well, and on Football Manager, you can get Leighton Baines, a defender that's got real high free kick taking ability to be taking all your free kicks. And if you kind of set up your set pieces in the right way, then you're hopefully going to be, getting a lot of chances where, Leighton Baines or one of your defenders can just whip the ball in, and hopefully one of your defenders can be getting on the end of it. As well as free kick taking, you obviously need to have a look at his ability from corners. Now, Leighton Baines from kind of like dead ball situations, we can obviously his penalty taking skills or attributes 20 here. So any kind of dead ball situations, that you can sort of trust Leighton Baines and that he's going to, whip in a good ball. So good thing here from open play, he can be getting the crosses in. From kind of dead ball situations, he's got the ability from corners and free kicks. So, he's always going to be, the person delivering that ball, basically. Now, one thing that I would just sort of say from the beginning of this episode, like, it's all well and good trying to make your defenders or sort of certain players trying to get you assists, but if they simply haven't got the attributes to, be able to do what you need them to do, so it's no good having, a defender with free kick taking of 5, like taking all your free kicks, because, one, you're just going to be wasting, really good opportunities, and two, that they're probably just not got the technical ability to be able to, deliver a good enough ball for, one, for him to get an assist, and two, for your, for other members of your team to, put the ball in the back of the net. So really what I would advise is to kind of have a real good look at the attributes of the player that you're trying to make get more assists, and just, if you've got someone that is really blessed with crossing, you can just play on these certain attributes. Now, what I'm going to do in a minute, I will go into my tactics screen just to kind of show you, but I think it's really important to just have a look at the attributes that you've got for certain players. Now, as we know in the modern game, you can have like complete wing backs, and there are a lot of wing backs and defenders who actually aren't very good at tackling. They kind of get more criticised for that. So you might have like a Glenn Johnson or someone like that who's not exactly known for his tackling, but going forward and being more attacking and things like that, they're going to be a lot better going forward than they are sort of defensively, if you like. So whenever you're kind of looking at your players' attributes, it's really important that you are just picking out the key attributes and you're kind of playing up to them attributes. So if you do have someone that is good at corners, make them take the corners or free kicks, etc. They're obviously the real good ones. So obviously you've also got the passing attribute, which is really, really good. The technique attribute, how good actually are they at getting a ball across or taking a corner. How good's their technique for actually doing what they need to do? So it's really important to have that as a good technical attribute. Going down the mental kind of column here, so anticipation is really good. If Leighton Baines is crossing the ball, and you need him to think quickly on his feet, so he's got really, really good anticipation. He's got really good decision making. He's got good composure as well. So if he's going to be crossing the ball, he's composed enough with his good technique to actually be able to deliver a really, really good cross from a corner. So that's another attribute that you need to be looking at here. So I'd say that off the ball and position are good as well. So obviously with off the ball, you need Leighton Baines to be kind of bombing it down the left wing. And obviously if he's not really getting himself into the good enough positions to be able to cross the ball, then that's not really helpful for him getting loads and loads of assists. So you need to look for your fullback or your winger to be having good off the ball as well, or a good off the ball attribute, because obviously when your team's attacking, they need to be able to obviously be in the right positions, and that off the ball attribute is really going to be the thing that kind of determines exactly where they are, and what's going on around them. So obviously as well, you need really good teamwork. The teamwork attributes, are they going to be just passing the ball, or are they going to be like hogging the ball? The vision one, can he kind of spot Lukaku making a run into the box? And does he have the anticipation and the decision making, as well as the sort of vision to actually get that ball across to Lukaku? And as well with his crossing ability, you fully would expect Leighton Baines to be able to do that as well. So really what I'd also just have a look in here is just the physical attributes. So the acceleration and pace are really, really good things as well, that Leighton Baines has obviously got. So he can pick up the ball, Leighton Baines, if you can imagine. You can, you see it week in, week out on match of the day and when he's playing Leighton Baines, but he's basically just bombing it up and down this left wing kind of all day long, basically. Now, he's got the pace to keep up with play. He's got the stamina as well to keep up with play. So in terms of kind of crossing and, getting the ball across, he's absolutely perfect, Leighton Baines, for doing that. Now, you can see here, just on this particular Football Manager file, he's got 7 assists in 26 starts, which for a left back is really, really good, to be honest. Even on Football Manager, you can see how much of a kind of asset that he could actually be to your team. A player that if they're actually good enough and capable of sort of pulling off the things that you need them to pull off, then it's all well and good. So moving on to tactics, what I just wanted to show you guys. So basically for my Chelsea team here, there's certain things that you can have a look at. So the way I've set up my Chelsea team, I don't particularly do sort of too much with my fullbacks, because my attacking players here are just so attacking, basically. You're not really going to see Eden Hazard with his tackling of 4, kind of chasing back and winning the ball and things like that. So that really does affect my left back in terms of getting forward and things. If Eden Hazard was more of a player that would kind of get stuck in, I don't know. Yeah, so maybe a William type player. So William, although his tackling attribute's 7, you're more likely with his work rate and pace to see him kind of tracking back a little bit more, and actually helping out with the more defensive side of the game. So that can actually release your fullbacks. But for the purpose of me just sort of showing you how you can kind of utilize your fullbacks. So if we pretend that Eden Hazard, and in this case Wellington, them did actually have the have it in their locker to get back and tackle, and be successful at that. So what I'd be looking to do here, you could set Philip Luiz. Now, a player like Philip Luiz, you can see here that his crossing ability is really, really good. He does have that good pace that I was speaking about earlier. His anticipation's good. His decision making's good. Teamwork, vision's good, and his technique's all good as well. So we can see here, getting the crosses over to the striker. Now, whenever you create a tactic, what you need to be thinking about is the service that you want to be giving your striker. So having someone like Diego Costa, I know that he's really, really good in the air, and I know that his first touch is good enough so that we can give it to him at his feet as well. And obviously we know with Diego Costa, he's going to be getting into the right positions to, kind of receive a cross or a pass. So things that you can set up here. So in your team instructions, you want to be exploiting the flanks, which is something that I do with this Chelsea team. But really, it's just because my wingers are the ones that are going to be getting me my assists. Now, this whole tactic that I've set up here for Chelsea is to exploit the flanks. Now, my fullbacks will be helping out the wingers with attacking and getting the crosses in, but because they're on the support function just on the fullback, I've not kind of given them full license like you would maybe with Leighton Baines or somebody else, just to, so they can bomb forward as much as possible. I've got the tactic of, or the instruction of whipping the ball in. So like I mentioned earlier, we've got Diego Costa, who's really, really good in the air. So what I'm advising my kind of wingers and fullbacks to do whenever they are crossing the ball is to whip the ball in. Now, if you can imagine here, so we've got Azpilicueta. You could quite imagine him just going down the right hand side here, and yeah, like I've told him to do, is whip the ball into Diego Costa. Now, when you're creating tactics, these are the type of things that you need to be thinking about. If I take a look at Diego Costa, you can see in 14 games he's managed 18 assists. Now, I don't exactly have the stats of how many he's got with his head or his feet, but certainly the service that I've set up here has been really, really good for Diego Costa, and as you can see, he's scoring a hell of a lot of goals. So the kind of instructions that I set up of exploiting the flanks and whipping in the ball, that is giving Diego Costa enough ammunition to be able to, get that ball across, and do some really, really productive stuff with it. I just want to refresh my memory and just have a look at Wellington Nem. So you can see here that Wellington Nem in 23 games, he's got 11 assists, which is quite high, I believe. I'm just going to have a real quick look at the Premier League stats, just kind of see how he sort of looks in terms of other players. So yeah, he's kind of keeping up with everybody else, Wellington Nem. Now, he was injured for a little bit, but he's certainly the person that I want to be, whipping the crosses in. So you can see here that he's got that acceleration I discussed. The crossing ability is quite decent here. Certainly his anticipation and decision making could be better, but you can see what I've done with my tactic. I've basically used Wellington Nem as winger. So the whole kind of purpose of the way that this tactic's set up is for him to, for a lot of our passing to just be down the flanks. We're going to be holding on to the ball. We're going to be just crossing that ball into Diego Costa as quickly as possible. And that's where a lot of our kind of assists and things like that are going to be coming from. So you can see, again, Eden Hazard, 9 assists in 26 games. So although Eden Hazard scored quite a lot of goals, it's certainly where a lot of our assists are coming from down the wing. And that's exactly how I wanted this tactic to work. So you'll see a player like Oscar. Now, he is a creative player. And it's good that he has got 6 assists in 21 games. But, our wingers and, kind of the wide areas is exactly where I need these assists to be coming from. So what you can do when you're setting up a tactic, you need to be looking at your striker or, your attacking players. So we know that Eden Hazard is going to be drifting in from the left-hand side here. We know Diego Costa's good in the air, and that he can get into good positions. And we know as well players like Ramirez are also going to be like bombing forwards just to try and get on the end of any crosses that are coming in and things like that. So with that in mind, when I was setting up this tactic, just to make sure that I was getting a lot more assists, what I did was obviously, just make these guys kind of whip the ball in and just get the crosses across as quickly as possible. Now, with your fullbacks, you just need to be having a look. So if you can afford for them to kind of get forward a lot more, you just be telling them to do exactly the same thing. You'd be telling them to whip the ball across to Diego Costa. And, as you can see, with the amount of goals that Costa's got, that's going to be your way of, increasing the amount of assists that certain players are getting. As well, what I'd also advise, so if I have a look here at your fullback on the support duty, you can do things like, so cross the ball more often or cross the ball less. Obviously, you want to be maybe crossing the ball a little bit more often if you've got a player like, Philip Luis, or like a Leighton Baines, someone like that. You do want to be kind of getting that ball across as quickly as possible, and that's something that you can kind of do really, really well with your fullbacks, and it's something I'd advise to just cross the ball a lot more often. In terms of other kind of sort of instructions you can give to your players, so maybe something that you want to also have a look at certainly for your kind of like centre midfielders. So what I do with this Chelsea kind of tactic, I did mention that all 4 of my attacking players are just all out attackers. So I don't really have kind of too much creativity in these 2 players here. But certainly with Oscar, who usually sits in that role, what I would, or what you can do if you sort of want to, say if you were, directing a lot of your passes through the middle of the park, it could be a really, really good idea to have his distribution set to more direct passes, which, as it says here, it encourages your players to take more risks when passing in a bid to find a ball which could unlock the opposition defence. Now, I have used this in the past, where, say, if Diego Costa had his main part of his game was just all about his pace. Now, with Diego Costa, you've got his strength, and he can do anything, Diego Costa, basically. If you had a player that was just really all about his pace, what you could do, your main attacking kind of moves might be through the middle of the park. So to help Oscar get kind of like more assists, as I just showed you there, what you could do is set the player and just have him doing more direct passes. Now, that's something that's going to, 1, increase the amount of chances that you're giving your really, really fast striker, and 2, Oscar is going to be the one that's going to be playing them balls through, so he's going to be getting a lot more assists for you. There's kind of like certain things that you can do with your tactics just to make certain players in your team kind of get more assists. But one thing, like I was kind of saying or sort of highlighting when we first had a look at Leighton Baines, you really do need to be looking at the attributes your players have got. So if you do have someone that's really, really good at, free kicks or corners, make sure that they are taking all your free kicks and corners. That's certainly going to help increase the amount of assists that they're getting. As well, if they are good at crossing, just make sure that they're, in a position to get them crosses across. It's a little bit of a tricky one when creating a tactic, because I'd love for Philip Luis and Azpilicueta to be bombing forward. But quite simply with my kind of wingers, I just cannot let that happen, because I'd just be left, really, really, we basically left with hardly any defenders at the back, basically. And that's just something that I couldn't allow to happen. But if you can kind of think of a way of getting your, your fullbacks forward as much as possible. Giving them the sort of best role as like a complete wing back or something of this nature, then you're going to be seeing a lot more assists from your fullbacks. As well, just kind of thinking the, sort of in giving the team instructions to suit the players you've got in your team. So, like I said, whipping the crosses for a Diego Costa, or crossing the ball low if you've got a fast striker. These are some things as well that you can do to increase the amount of assists that your fullbacks and other players are getting. So, I hope I've kind of given you guys some things to just think about here. Really, it's kind of hard to describe what to do in terms of getting more assists, but you just need to basically play up to the attributes that your players have got. And as well, when you're creating your tactic, you need to be thinking about, the service that you want to be giving your more attacking players like your Diego Costas or your strikers. And you need to be thinking about how exactly you're going to be giving them that service. Like I said, just kind of play up to what your players need. And, just think of the best players in your team to give your strikers or, you know, or your Eden Hazards that, you know, kind of ammunition, if you like, to be able to get the ball across. Now, as you can see here, I'm doing quite well just with kind of crossing the ball and exploiting the flanks, and that works for me in this tactic. But one thing you should or just need to take away from this video, if you can just kind of have a think in your own team, have a look at your players, who's your main goal scoring threat, and then secondly, just kind of think about what players you've got that are going to be in the best position to give your, you know, kind of more attacking players the ammunition to score them goals. And yeah, what you'll find is there'll be certain players that will be, you know, kind of rocketing away with your assists, and that's obviously going to help your team, one, score more goals, and secondly, you're going to be able to, you know, kind of get more assists from all over the park. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, guys. I do make these kind of talk throughs videos quite often. If you do want to see more in the future, do hit that subscribe button, and yeah, it'd really help it if you could press that like button as well. It really does help the channel out a lot. But yeah, we'll be back very soon anyway for some more videos, so thanks for watching this one, guys.